Hello, this is part 2 of my first video on how to freeze infuse a basic daisy. I'm going to show you how to pop it out of the silicone mold and then place it on some fire paper and a piece of tile and put it in a kiln. I sometimes will just go ahead and rub off any excess powder that might be on the surface that's dry, just to hopefully encourage a more defined detail around the outside edge. So basically I start out with just gently squeezing the silicone mold, just keep going around it a little bit at a time, and as you can see, it is starting to pop out. It's starting to raise up out of the surface. I just kind of gently roll it over and kind of give it a little tug with my finger and place it on there. Do the same thing with the other one. You just kind of gently pull back on the silicone mold until you start seeing it raising out of the surface of the mold. You can also just turn the mold over and kind of flex it a little bit and it'll come out. So it depends upon the mold and the delicacy of it. Sometimes it's easier to just pull it out ever so carefully and then place it on here. Now, one thing I will say is I usually do more than just this. I will save up several of these in my freezer and then put several of them on a tile just to be more economical. But the longer you have these on the fire paper, the moisture from the mold will start wicking out and you'll start seeing a moisture ring around the fire paper. That means that you kind of need to hurry and get that in the kiln, that you're kind of pushing your luck with how long you've had it out of the freezer. The longer you have it out and the drier or more moisture that's wicked out of it, you're risking a chance of losing the integrity of the mold itself. So I will go ahead and put this in the kiln, and I will post my temperature that I use in my small countertop kiln. It's just a firebox. The interior is 7 by 7, so it's not very big. I usually don't fire in my larger kiln with this one just because the molds are small enough that I can get them put on a small little 6 by 6 square tile, and really you will have a lot of flowers or daisies or other molds. It really fills the kiln up quite reasonably. I am going to go ahead and talk to you about another type of freeze infuse technique using slurry powdered glass. My thoughts on it, and I will demonstrate it for you, and just hopefully that will help you to maybe possibly do a different type of a freeze infuse based on the type of molds that you have. I will be back in just a little bit. Thanks. Hi, I am back. I was going to show you how to do a freeze infuse using a slurry mixture, and why I choose to do a slurry on this. Basically, I feel powder works well for this type of a mold, but on this mold, where the detailing is very defined, snowflakes, I can't get the powder in there adequately without causing a lot of bubbles. I find that a wet slurry works best for this style of mold, and so I'm going to show you how I do that. Basically, this is leftover slurry from the last time that I did it. It's already evaporated the moisture out of it, has turned to powder. So I just put a little piece of paper in there to identify it as being white, and I don't believe I have enough white in there to do my snowflakes, so I'm going to add just a little bit more white to it, and then I am going to add water. And your slurry should be kind of like a runny white frosting type. So I'm going to stir this up. And as you can see, it is kind of like a slush with some moisture in it. It's kind of like white frosting. Okay, so basically I take a scoop of it and I put it in on top of the snowflake, and I kind of push it down with this stir stick. And I kind of go around it, encouraging it to go into the snowflake. And I do that to all of them, pushing that wet slurry down into the snowflake. If you get too much wet powder on top, you can kind of just scoot some of it over to the other mold, or you can take it off depending upon what the mold is that you're using. We'll push it down in there, forcing it into the crevices. And see, it's really kind of wet. You need that to, of course, to push the powdered glass around. Okay, I did take some of it off. Now I'm going to use this toothbrush to vibrate it, get any bubbles out of it that might possibly have been trapped in the powder. And as you can see, there's a watery surface to it. I'm going to leave that because once it's frozen, the freezer will dry that surface off, and you can just take your finger and push that powdery substance off of the mold, and your snowflakes will be there. And as soon as this freezes, I will have a demo to show you how I pop them out of the mold. But this is a wonderful mold. I've made hundreds of snowflakes, and the detailing on it is really good. If you like this video, please share it, subscribe, or like it, and let me know if it's something that you benefited from. I was hoping to do another demo on this butterfly mold and some additional colors that you could add to it to accent the butterflies. And then I was going to do a demo on this mold. It's deep. It has a lot of impression in there that, you know, sometimes you have to worry about getting bubbles. And so I was going to do a video on this one as to how I put the powder glass in there, and how I help to release any of the bubbles that might possibly get trapped into it. Thank you.